Just very plainly, a yes or no answer. Does President Trump believe that the Russian government interfered in the 2016 elections?
I think I have not sat down and talked to him about that specific thing. Obviously, we've been dealing with a lot of other issues today. I'd be glad to touch base.
Generally speaking, I mean, this conversation about Russian interference in our elections, there's 16 intelligence agencies that say that they did. The former FBI director said that without a doubt the Russians interfered.
I understand. I've seen the reports.
Does the president share those views?
I've not sat down and asked him about his specific reaction to him, so I'd be glad to touch base and get back to you. Yeah.
Didn't you say it was fake news, Sean? Didn't the president say that Russia was fake news?
White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer says he cannot answer whether the president accepts unanimous intelligence assessments that Russia meddled in the 2016 election. Joining us now, former editor-in-chief of the only independent Russian national television network, Mikhail Zygar. He is the author of All the Kremlin's Men, a bestseller in Russia that was published in English this year. Zygar is the recipient of the Committee to Protect Journalists 2014 International Press Freedom Award. And welcome to the show. Good to have you on board.
Hello.
So set up, who are All the Kremlin's Men, and what did you find out? I know you had unprecedented access in research for this book.
It took me a long time to take all those off-the-record interviews.
Wow.
I was writing this book for almost 7 years, trying to interview all the members of Putin's inner circle. But and the protagonist of that book is not Vladimir Putin himself. That's not his biography. That's all the Kremlin's men, and I mean not only the members of his inner circle, but thousands of Russian bureaucrats, and that's what this book is about. You know, the way how decisions are taken in Russia are. That's not really vertical of power that Vladimir Putin was trying to build during many years. It's based on the ability of thousands of Russian bureaucrats to anticipate what their boss wants them to do. They are always guessing what they are required to do, and they're trying to do that even before any order is taken.
So, it sounds familiar. Just curious, are there certain figureheads that have more influence over Putin? Does anybody?
Yeah, sure. We've got some kind of new Politburo that's called the National Security Council that gathers every Saturday. I call them Saturday people, and these people are just the main characters of all the chapters of that book. At the same time, we've got so-called Sunday people. These are the closest friends of Vladimir Putin. They tend to be the most important businessmen of the country. They cannot influence the political decisions because that's how Vladimir Putin sees the checks and balances system, the separation of powers, business aside and political affairs aside.
So is Vladimir Putin the most powerful person in Russia or not?
You know, if we choose one, probably he is the one. You know, but his power is usually, I think, exaggerated because he's dependent on that bureaucratic system. He wants to be popular with it. He's not the leader who is supposed to take unpopular decisions. Like, you know, we usually name like Charles de Gaulle as strong leader because he made an unpopular decision to withdraw French troops from Algeria, or Anwar Sadat signing peace treaty with Israel. Putin is not the man to take unpopular decisions. He wants to be popular within that army of Russian bureaucrats. He knows that he's dependent on them. So that's not that black and white.
And while we're on the topic, with tensions escalating, U.S. officials say a Russian fighter jet intercepted an American spy plane over the Baltic Sea in international airspace. The Russian jet reportedly flew within 5 feet of the U.S. plane. Officials are characterizing the action as both unsafe and unprofessional. The incident happened the same day President Trump met with the Ukrainian president, Petro Poroshenko. White House officials called it a drop-in visit to the Oval Office. But ahead of the meeting, Poroshenko said on Twitter that it's important that he meet with President Trump earlier than Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin and President Trump are expected to meet at the G20 summit in Germany next month. Willie.
There are so many cross currents right now in the United States-Russian relationship.
Yeah.
There's Ukraine, there's Syria, there are flashpoints all over the world.
He's happy with that.
Yes.
That amount of attention
Right.
he's getting from American media, that's probably the best moment of his life. He has reached that status of the most powerful man in the world, as Fareed Zakaria's documentary called him. And so he's very satisfied with that.
So Putin himself has denied any meddling by the Russian government in the American presidential election of last November. But as you speak to all these thousands of people that you've interviewed over the years and more recently about the election, do they concede, do they wink, do they nod to you that yes, of course, the Russian government was behind interference in the American election?
No, probably that's not when you say Russian government, probably that's not exactly correct. Probably that was some private company, in a way,
But directed by the Russian government?
Not official. No, dependent on the Russian government, affiliated with I would say Russian intelligence services, probably. You know, as in many countries, probably in this country as well, some delicate missions are supposed to be made not by government agencies themselves, but by the private companies affiliated with the government in a way. So probably that was much more private initiative. I can suppose that was private initiative and an attempt to give a present for Vladimir Putin. They guessed that he would love to have that, to hear that news. So that could be an attempt to draw his attention.
All right, Mikhail Zygar, the book is All the Kremlin's Men. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.